Every month I am going to give you a new drill where by the end of, well, in a couple of years you'll have a black belt in stick fighting. This is stuff that I've learned in probably about 25 years of doing stick fighting after having lived in the Philippines, studied modern arnis. Later I studied Kali with Danny Inosanto, studied Eskrima with Jimmy Tacosa. So my style is kind of an American stick fighting style. I'll be doing a combination of what I call solo drills. That's what I'm working on now, to give you the means to give your students drills that they can do on their own where they don't need another person. And then later on we'll be doing 2-person drills and even 3- and 4-person drills. Okay, so one other point is that the sticks that we do use in the Filipino arts, if you don't know this already, we use rattan. The beauty of rattan is that it is not it is a hardwood, but it's a wood that doesn't shatter when it strikes another one. I want to show you a little bit. I'm going to have my camera person zoom in a little bit, and I want to show you what happens with rattan. Let's go ahead and zoom in there if you would. Okay, we zoomed in on a stick to show you what happens when rattan breaks. It does not shatter and throw shards out, but it separates. You see how all these little fibers in here just separate, and eventually the stick will become mush. Now these are sticks that I bought in New Jersey from a rattan and bamboo works place. I get both rattan and they cut them to size. So we're going to do today's lesson by the Babbling Brook in the Kip Ranch. So if you recall, back in segment number 1, we did what's called a figure 8, where we are doing diagonal strikes, as if I were making an X from your hip to your shoulder, circles down and around, to your hip to your shoulder. Again, thinking of this as a blade, not as a stick, but I'm thinking that I'm cutting, circles around, cutting. It's not working?
Oh, it's fun.
So what? Okay. So, if you recall in segment 1, we worked on what's called figure 8. Diagonal strikes where I'm cutting from hip to shoulder, like so. Thinking of this as a blade, not as a stick. The hips initiate each motion. Now, we're going to take the second segment where we did banda y banda, which is a horizontal cut, and we're going to make it vertical. Straight up, straight down, straight up, and down. This is a great motion to really emphasize the hips, because if you don't work the hips, you won't be able to do the motion. You just can't. That doesn't work. You've got to use the hips for a cut and a cut. Cut and a cut. The hips turn with each motion. Now also, have your students be always aware of where their empty hand is. For right now, we just want to have a good placement. Later on, this hand is going to go into a checking motion. There's a lot of very cool drawing motions. It's what we call the alive hand in the Filipino arts. While this is striking, this can be doing all sorts of creative things. So once again, rompida, vertical strikes up and down, envisioning the stick as a bladed weapon.